Well, hello there. Welcome back. And I'm sorry for the delay. This is Softcore Detachment, the podcast for people who are done starting over. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Catalina. I'm a strength coach and nutrition educator, and this show is about building a strong body, a regulated nervous system, and a plan that doesn't fall apart every time life throws a curveball at you. All right, this week we have a very intense and culturally appropriate topic at hand. This is all about surviving skinny trends without losing your mind or your muscle. So let's get into this. It feels like culture suddenly decided once again that women need to get smaller. You are not imagining this. Every decade, I would say, certainly every few years, we're told that this time skinny is back. But it's healthier. This is cleaner. It's more wellness coded. And I want to be super clear about this. It is not a moral failure on your part if this time it's getting into your head, because they are getting really good this time around at making it seem like this is a healthy trend. All right? When our culture and our community is stressed, uncertain, and obsessed with control, the pressure to shrink our bodies always comes back around. This has been tried and true and tested many, many times. It has been studied and it has been documented. So today, I want to talk about why skinny trends resurface, what's actually driving them right now, including GLP-1s, which we've talked about on this show, and Hollywood, and how to opt out without swinging into extremes or losing your health in the process. First, let's zoom out. As I said, this is not new. We've seen this cycle before. I'm in my 40s. I survived the 90s and early 2000s. In the 90s, we called it heroin chic, which is terrible. That's awful, but that's what was going on. Low-rise jeans in the 2000s. You wanted your hip bones to stick out. And in the 2010s, it was clean eating. We even call it the almond mom. You know, the super hyper focused on health and wellness kind of thing. But it's all, packaged differently. It's the same thing at the end of the day. Every time there's an economic crisis, a stressor, a cultural instability, or a loss of control, the ideal body gets smaller. Not stronger, not healthier, but smaller. Because shrinking the body gives the illusion of control. Skinny has never actually been about health. It's about manageability. It's about quietness. It's about being easier to consume, taking up less space. Sound familiar? When women feel pressure, socially, financially, emotionally, that message lands even harder, doesn't it? The same can be true for men, let's be honest. What is different this time around is how fast and medically legitimized this trend feels. And I believe that GLP-1s have a lot to do with this. Now, we've talked about them on this show. As I said, they can be a wonderful tool both for weight management and then, of course, for what they were designed for, right? Diabetes management and extreme weight loss for people who genuinely need it, for obesity treatment. But what we're seeing now is widespread off-label use for aesthetic purposes, especially in Hollywood, where we consume these people's stories, the influencers' stories, all over the place. I'm not going to name names in this, but I have been inundated all over TikTok and YouTube with influencers who go on GLP-1s very publicly and talk about every single detail of what they go through. I'm not sure how to feel about that. I think that it widely diminishes the reality of what people are going through and why people choose to use these medications. Again, these medications are a tool for weight management or for health and medical management. I've just seen them so drastically abused by some of these influencers. And again, I don't want to make a big deal about naming names, but it's just shocking, truly shocking. You still have to do the work. You still have to protect your body from how this can go wrong. Appetite suppression is not nourishment. Rapid weight loss will often include lean muscle mass. And as we know, loss of muscle is going to lower your metabolic rate, increase your risk of injury, and then long-term weight loss regain on the other end. So weight loss quickly is not the same as weight loss sustainability. Oftentimes you don't learn the skills necessary to keep it off, and then you'll end up just having to, stay on a maintenance dose for the rest of your life. That's not sustainable. When muscle is lost, metabolic health suffers, especially for women. Layer that on top of Hollywood and those social media influencers and that culture, and we're seeing bodies that are smaller, flatter, sunken in, less muscular, very adolescent. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be honest, this is my opinion, but I know it's echoed, very unhealthy looking. It's being framed as effortless, clean, wellness. It doesn't erase the biology of it though. And we still don't know the long-term effects. Now, I want to slow this next part down because this is where my wheelhouse lies. As women age, muscle is the most metabolically protective tissue we have. It's the most metabolically active tissue that men and women have. We need it. It's so great for us. It is the secret weapon, right? This is the Emerald City. Metabolically active tissue is the secret weapon. And so if we are using a tool improperly that eats through literally fat and muscle tissue indiscriminately, we're just shooting ourselves in the foot, short term and especially long term. Muscle tissue regulates blood sugar, insulin sensitivity, and energy balance. And when muscle mass drops, insulin resistance increases, even if our body weight is lower. So you can be smaller and less healthy at the same time. Now again, this next part is huge, so please hear me out. Women begin losing bone density as early as their 30s. Resistance training and muscle loading are some of the strongest protective factors against osteoporosis. Period. The research has been done. The book is closed. We know this to be true. And so if you're eating away at muscle tissue in your 30s and 40s and 50s because of GLP-1s and massive fast weight loss, you are going to hurt your bones. You're increasing your risk for fractures and osteoporosis and bone wasting that are really hard to get back. It's hard to fix that later on. Skinny bodies without muscle are fragile bodies. Fragility is not. Muscle plays a role in hormone regulation, stress resilience, and aging well, especially through perimenopause and menopause. It's protective. It's not optional. It's protective. If you're wondering why this messaging feels louder right now, it's because many people are overwhelmed. If you have your head in the sand about what's going on in our culture and in our country right now, I don't know what to tell you. I can't fix that for you. But things are a little bit rough, whether you're going to admit it or not. And when things are unstable, control becomes seductive. And controlling our bodies is one of the things we can do. Shrinking the body and sometimes going the opposite direction is something that we have control over. But health is not about control. Health is about resilience. That's something we talk about on this show, especially moving forward. The tagline is throwing a curveball at you. That's what life does. The one thing you can count on is that life is going to be unpredictable. It's going to throw curveballs at you. And what true resilience is the ability to catch the ball and throw it right back, to make something out of it, to bootstrap up, and to figure it out. See Bronx in the background there? He's got some opinions about this. So opting out of skinny culture doesn't mean rejecting weight loss or health or aesthetics. You can still do all those things. Heck, you can still use GLP-1s if that's what's best for you and that's your choice. I completely support that. But you still have to maintain muscle mass. You have to eat in a healthy, nutritious way, and you've got to be realistic. It means refusing to sacrifice long-term health for short-term validation. So here are some practical anchors that you can utilize to help reject that skinny culture, especially in the face of everything that our culture is bombarding at you right now. Okay? Number one, and I say this to my clients all the time, focus on performance metrics, not outcomes and not appearance. Outcomes aren't going to happen in the way that you want them to, especially weight loss. But performance metrics are amazing, especially if you're lifting in the gym for the first time and you see your strength increase and change. That feels fabulous. Appearance is going to change. Welcome to gravity and welcome to time. And so not being so attached to your appearance and instead focusing on other things that you are producing in this world are going to make a huge difference for your mental health and well-being. Eat to support your deep health and your training, not suppress your appetite, and not to diet yourself back into this corner that you can't get back out of. I have so many postmenopausal women who have dieted themselves down to 800, 900, and 1,000 calories. They can't sleep, they don't have good gut health, and they won't lose weight anymore. And as soon as we start working together, we reverse diet them. We gently increase their calories. Their skin looks better. They start building muscle, and they start losing fat. Go figure. They're eating less than a toddler eats. Their bodies can't do something with nothing. So eat to support deep health and your weight training, and your body will reward you. I promise. And lift weights that challenge you, especially women. We get ourselves, there's this false conception that we're going to pick up weights and become big and bulky and muscular. And it just doesn't work that way. One of the big precursors for bulky muscles is testosterone. And if you don't have a huge overabundance of testosterone, you're not going to get big, bulky muscles. And I say this from a place of love. I enjoy being on the muscular side. I like that. I train that way. And if I could have bigger muscles, I would. But I've been training for 12 years, and this is where I'm at, and I'm very muscular for a woman, and I love that. But I've worked very hard to become so, and I lift very heavy. And so for average women, if you're lifting heavy enough for you, and for most women in that kind of group, you should be tired at the end of each set. The last couple reps should be difficult, and you should be progressing. You shouldn't be doing 3 to 5 pound weights for your legs, okay? You're stronger than that, and your body needs more. We need resistance to push back on in order to get a result. Trust me on this. It's gonna work. And you're not gonna turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger. Trust me, I've tried. I'm being just a little sarcastic there. Ask yourself some long-term questions as you're going through this process. Can you sustain this for years? For 5 years? For 10 years? Remember that episode with Nige like a month ago now? Is your 80-year-old body going to thank you for what you're doing right now? Or is she going to break a hip stepping off the curb? Because if that's the case, you need to change what you're doing. What we do now is like a savings account for our body, and you need to make deposits that matter and that you're going to be able to withdraw later on in a significant way. that helps you, not hurts you? Does it protect your future body? The other thing I'd like you to do is curate your media intake aggressively. Skinny talk is a thing. It's a subset of TikTok, right? And these men and women, a lot of times women, glorify being overly skinny, literally until they die. And again, I'm not going to name names, but there are a couple of creators out there who have died chasing this. And it's heartbreaking. That's terrible. Don't glorify this. That's just awful. It truly is. And, on that same note and in that same vein, you never know what somebody is going through and how much they're putting themselves through. It could be emotional. It could be physical. And we say things like, wow, you look great. You've lost weight. And it's like, yeah, well, I'm battling this horrific, mental or physical disorder. And so that's why this is happening. So just be careful as far as that goes. But in general, don't glorify what we're seeing here because it's not healthy and it's not normal and it's going to swing back around the other way. Okay? Your body is not a trend cycle. This is your health. This is your wealth. You don't need to rebel against culture, but you can choose not to participate. That's okay. They don't have to make money off of you. To finish this out, I'd like to bring it back to that idea of self-trust that we've been talking about. Smaller has never been the same as healthier. Everybody has a different shaped body. There are some very small people who are healthy and who eat consistently and eat well, and that's their natural body. But trying to make yourself, force yourself to be smaller is it's not equal to health, right? Quiet has never been the same as worthy. You have a voice and you are allowed to use it. Shrinking yourself has never made life easier in the long run. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to have a voice. Strength, physical, metabolic, emotional, gives you options. Opting for strength in a culture that glorifies shrinking is not radical. It's protective. Okay, that's my take on the skinny trend of 2020s, right here in the middle of it. Thank you for listening. I appreciate your patience with me. We are going through a lot in the house of Softcore Detachment, but I'm still here and I'm still making content. I will put more out on social media now that I'm finding more sure footing for myself. And thank you truly for being here. I appreciate you. Bronx appreciates you. And we're going to see you next week. Bye now.
Thought that I would be a bit at peace by now.